Members of Temple Aliyah's mental health initiative and Equal Justice Needham for Families have heard from parents of high school and middle school students how painful living through the pandemic has been for their children. Since the pandemic is still ongoing, each organization wanted to hold a program to help parents help their children. They decided to join together to present Needham Speaks: How to Support the Mental Health of Adolescents During the Pandemic. The director of Needham Youth and Family Services, Sarah Shine, and high school guidance counselor Katrina Martin will inform parents on how to recognize the signs and symptoms of mental health issues and how to best support their children. Here's more on the free virtual event.
All of us have experienced a lot of hardship in the last year and a half or so, maybe a little bit more than that now. But I think where teens have had a particularly tough time is this lack of socialization outside of their own home, where that is such a hugely important part of their developmental stage that they're in right now.
There is kind of this lingering adjustment, and the depression, anxiety will still be there. Just because you can go back to school doesn't mean you aren't experiencing a little bit of trauma from what's happened over the past couple of years. I think both of these groups really recognize that and want the community members to really have as much information as possible to help themselves, their families, and their children.
I think it's important to remember that there are trends that we're noticing, and we're very much still in the pandemic right now. And so it's really hard to see the big picture.
We're going to be going in depth about the impact that COVID-19 has had on the community and really what parents can do about it. So we're going to be talking about some statistics and some things that we've really seen in the community and some areas of higher concern. How do parents and caretakers and adults know when somebody might be experiencing a mental health issue, when to intervene and how to intervene? And we're going to be talking about some resources and just ways parents can best help to support their kids.
If a student is struggling, to understand what's the difference between typical normal adolescent behavior and some more serious, significant mental health challenges. So we'd really like to break that down with the group a little bit. We've actually are planning to include some case studies so we can work through this in a more interactive way with our guests. And have some data to share about when it is appropriate to be accessing more help.
Some of the things that we've seen at Needham Youth and Family Service is that there's just an increased need in services. So we have a lot more people on our wait list than we ever had. And also a lot of times we can refer people to other agencies that might be accepting referrals, and all of those agencies are bogged down. So just an increased need and also an increase in acuity. So, typically we see concerns, some anxiety or some depression, especially with school starting, some adjustment to that. But more recently, we're seeing, anxiety attacks, depression to the point where people can't leave the house, a significant increase in suicidal ideation. So a lot of these things are really concerning, and it just much more acute than we're used to seeing in the past years.
We'll allow for time for question and answer at the end of the program. So we want to make sure that we're providing information that's helpful and relevant and effective for people in our community. We know this has been a tough time. So we are offering what we think will be most helpful, but definitely come with questions and let us know if there's anything you feel like you need some more specific guidance on.
The program is occurring on October 17th. It's starting at 7 o'clock, and there is an Eventbrite that you can use to sign up.